3, 2, 1, boom! Well, welcome, Facebook friends, Wednesday night Bible study, Matthew chapter 10. If you hear a voice, we all look this way. What was that show we were watching with my parents? To Tell the Truth. So, To Tell the Truth. Hi, my name is. So there's a new version of that. So there's a mystery guest off camera. We may have more mystery guests off camera. That's the way to guarantee you get Bible study at home. But if the tech works and you're at home, then you'll get a whole Bible study at home. There we go. Well, we're in Matthew chapter 10. And if you have a Bible, feel free to turn there. And Alan is our discussion leader tonight.
Sorry.
Pastor Kim doesn't ever invite me down yet.
Now I do.
But, that never happened before.
All right. Well, chapter 10, we're going to just right in. Although, we'll go as we go. If we early tonight, we might.
It's always a possibility. Tonight might be above average pot.
Yeah. So we're going to dive right in. We'll start. We're going to read from verse 1 through 8. Sam, you ready to read? Or are you good?
No belching donuts tonight.
Yeah, what's it say? Can he be here without them?
I don't know, but
Sure.
I sacrificed them for McDonald's.
Oh.
Doesn't sound like a sacrifice.
1 through 8.
Yes.
Jesus called his 12 disciples together and gave them authority to cast out evil spirits and to heal every disease and illness. Here are the names of 12
Apostles.
First, Simon, also called Peter. Then, do I have to read the?
Oh, yeah.
And then Andrew, Peter's brother. James, son of Zebedee.
Zebedee.
John, James's brother. Philip.
Bartholomew, which is another good Bible name.
Bartholomew.
Thomas, Matthew, tax collector. James, son
Alphaeus.
Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, Judas
Iscariot,
who betrayed him. Jesus sent out the 12 apostles with these instructions: don't go to the
Gentiles,
or the Samaritans, but only to the people of Israel, God's lost sheep. Go and announce to them that the kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cure those with leprosy, and cast out demons. Give as freely as you receive.
Good. All right. So,
Good job.
what we got there aside from some good names for babies? So this is cool because I know that Tom kind of focused and really liked the prayer that Jesus had at chapter 9, and so I'm just back up and just read 37 and 38 from chapter 9 real quick. He said to the disciples, "The harvest is great, but the workers are few. So pray to the Lord who is in charge of the harvest, ask him to send more workers into his field." So then he turns right around in chapter 10 and he answers prayer. And he says, "You guys, go."
Did you read the message?
I didn't read the message. I read the passage.
Here's what the message Bible says for verse 1. The prayer was no sooner prayed than it was answered.
There you go. Yeah.
Jesus called the 12 and sent them out. No other version does that. Eugene Peterson takes the liberty to put the two together.
Well, it's good to, the Bible was divided up into chapters to make it, easy to remember and block one stuff. We got some of that stuff. There's not a lot of time that's passed,
Yep.
So it's good to remember to keep that text in your head. And honestly, I believe the whole chapter 10 is really in the context or the framework of him sending out these disciples and telling them what to expect and what to do and what not to do and that kind of thing. Also, this is until Jesus gives the disciples authority and sends them out, they were called disciples. But directly after that, they were called apostles.
That's right.
So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, the Greek apostle is sent one. Apostello literally is I send you. And those. But here's Jack Hayford as a note on for disciples. I like this. You'll buy in a moment. Mathetes is the Greek word for disciples from the verb mantheno, which means to learn. Who math suggests thought with effort put forth. A disciple is a learner, one who follows the teaching and the teacher. The word used first of the 12 and later of Christian general. So to be a disciple is to take math, the school of Jesus.
That's interesting.
If math and Bible are the subjects on Jeopardy, I'm going to kill it. So we watch Jeopardy every Tuesday with my parents. It's like if it's Shakespeare and literature, no, I'm failing. So they were learners and then they were sent. And honestly, I think that's true just about everything in life. I'm thinking about the gym that we just joined, that we knew about this way of working. And then you start doing it and you go, it's very different practice than it is in theory, letting somebody else do it. And industry is really that way. It is so different watching somebody do it. And then it's your, we've been talking about, and I think the Holy Spirit is starting to poke Christians about, once the tide turns in our society with the virus and some more freedom and stuff, hitting the streets or going door to door, all be touchy, but I remember taking people door to door to do ministry, inviting to church, inviting to a guest service, doing Shift Destiny. We've done it with Unified Seafood, and it looks easy to knock on the door and talk when the other person who has experience is the one doing it. It's a very different when a stranger walks up to their front door and wonders what you're selling, and it's your turn to talk. And I'm not. By nature, I'm not a person who is just great with strangers. So I have to find that gear. I've had to, be that one. Not just in theory, but in reality.
That concept of going out and the some of the barriers that keep people from going out, that I don't know what to say, Jesus actually talks about it in
That's
this
right.
chapter.
That's right.
Yeah, some instructions. Yeah. In the Passion Translation, his instructions, it says in verse 7, as you go preach this message, heaven's kingdom realm is accessible, close enough to touch. Powerful.
Yes.
And then he says, you must continually bring healing to lepers, those who are sick, and make it your habit to break off demonic presence from people. Isn't that interesting? Not just about, it's not the typical, it's not your typical casting demon. He's saying, make it your habit to break off the demonic presence off of people.
Well, and there's just a comma there too. So make it your habit to break off demonic from people, and make it your habit to raise the dead to life.
Back to life, exactly.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's powerful. And evidently this power, you read it freely, so you can give it freely. So it's accessible when you go out and minister to people.
Yeah.
You should expect miracles to happen.
That kind of covers a lot of bases. Heal the sick, the dead, cure those with leprosy, cast out demons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're talking about big stuff. It's not talking to somebody a little advice.
Yeah.
Be nice to people, pat them on the shoulder.
Which is about all I can do in my own power. Right?
Yeah, these instructions need God's help.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't do it without.
Exactly.
But it's available because you go, okay, does God do these things? Yeah. I mean, He tells us to pray sick, and we can go out and go out and pray.
He says, tell them the power of God is accessible, close enough for them to touch it, and then show it by doing this stuff. That's awesome.
Good. Any other stuff in this beginning part? Comments, questions?
Well, we forgot to poke our friends on that. If you have a question or a comment, weigh us. We'll try to do that, and every time we take. The only other thing I wanted to mention is a footnote in the Passion on verse 8 where it says, freely you received, so freely release it to others. It says, don't charge for preaching the gospel. And I was with a group of pastors this morning. We prayed at the police station. We were having breakfast. It's been said that short for reverend stands rest, eat, visit, and pastors are good at it. And we were talking about online platforms, and the church that does YouVersion, which with a tap on my tablet, switching over to YouVersion to read the message, giving away free. So it's a Bible app that you get, I don't even know how dozens of translations on it, that's absolutely given away for free. And the story Pastor Davis was telling about that is that Craig Groeschel, who's the senior pastor of Life Church, and Church is who gives out their church made the app and made a history of their church. That all his tech people said, hey, we have all these cool ministry tools we've developed, it's great. We just need to set up pricing for what we're going to charge, because basically we're about bankrupt as a church. We've invested in all this stuff, and we just need to decide how much we're going to charge for it. He was going on a mission trip. He said, well, let me pray about this. Let me go on a trip, and when I come back, we'll figure out what we're going to do. And he went on a mission trip to a place where he sat down to eat, and basically his handler, his guide there, said, I just want to let you know, people here eat meat about once a year. That's where they are. And what they've chosen to do, your host family, they've chosen to give you their meat here. Because you're the man of God who's here ministering. And he said, I went home from that so humbled that I told my tech people, we're not charging anything. And they said, we've invested in all this infrastructure, we're almost, and he said, no, you don't understand. I was in the where they gave me their meat for the year because I was ministering Jesus. We're not charging for this. And basically, the tech people said, and this is the little boy's offering, because if we put this stuff up and make it free, we have more money as a church. And he said, pull here. And the response of giving came, has launched YouVersion, and now they have a platform like Facebook that you can stream your church service through. Like we stream them through Facebook. It's a closed community. It's not open. You have to be invited. But it's the same kind of platform, free.
Wow.
With all the other bells and whistles. So that might end in another place we dump it.
That's awesome.
But that whole freely given, and Isaac Ross was amen big time. Real big one. The gospel's free, man. It's the gospel. Let's go feed people for free. Let's bring the homeless in for free. And, that's why I'm always hesitant to have sales here at Harvest, because I'm afraid Jesus is going to come kick the brownies over.
That just touches on what he's going to say next in verse 9.
Yeah.
So we should give freely.
Yeah, and also, I didn't know the background behind that.
YouVersion now.
Amazing.
That is powerful.
Sam, you ready to read? So that's a good section of this next.
Yes,
block
it is.
here. So we're gonna go from verse 9 to 20.
20.
Yeah, this one doesn't even knock it off. You're lucky I didn't tell you to read the whole chapter.
What 20?
Go.
From 9?
Yeah, that's what 9 to 20 means. From 9.
I didn't hear that 9 part. Don't put any money in your money belts. No gold, silver, or even copper coins. Don't carry a traveler's bag with a chain of clothes and sandals, or even a walking stick. Don't hesitate to hospitality, because those who work deserve to be fed. Whenever you enter a city or village, search for a worthy person and stay in his home until you leave town. When you enter the home, give it your blessing. If it turns out to be a worthy home, let your blessing stand. If it is not, take back your blessing. If any household or town refuses to welcome you or listen to your message, it's dust from your feet as you leave. I tell you the truth. The wicked deeds of Sodom and
Gomorrah.
will be better off than such a town as Judgment Day. Look, I am sending you out as sheep among wolves, so be as shrewd as snakes and harmless as doves. But beware, for you will be handed over to courts and will be flogged with whips in
Synagogues.
You will stand trial before the governors and kings because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to tell the rulers and other unbelievers about me. When you are arrested, don't worry about how to respond or what to say. God will give you the right words at the right time. For it is not you who will be speaking, it will be the Spirit of your Father speaking through you.
All right. Don't take any money in your money belts. I have a weird sense of humor. I thought, so I should just take my money belt. But why didn't you say don't take my money belt? But anyway, again, I have a weird sense of humor.
It's
No
not my
gold.
wallet, it's something
Yeah.
else.
Gold, silver, or copper coins. The Passion's pretty succinct. You won't need a money.
Right.
That's it.
Travel light. Don't even pack an exchange of clothes.
Yeah, don't sit back. And then now that I'll bring it up, I'm not sure how much weight it has, but the Passion, it said travel light, don't pack extra change of clothes in your backpack. I think the footnotes were talking about backpack kind of signified some of your kind of your baggage your past before Christ. So don't have that with you. I think could be, but I don't
There could
know
be
if it's a little bit on that one.
That reminds me of a lot of missionary stories I've heard. They have maybe $5 in their pocket, and God says, so they go, and they just trust God for the supply of whatever they need.
Footnote on that. See if I can pull it up.
Backpacks are past experiences which we tend to carry as on our backs. Leave our behind since it no longer exists in Christ. That's one of the notes that I was pulling from.
Yeah. Well, it has a bunch of things in there. They're all symbolic. Money being what we trust in, staff being an element of authority, our shoes. There's a prophecy in Isaiah about how beautiful are the feet of them that bring the news. And so you kind of pull it back and go, he's picking all the things a traveler might have and then feeding the symbolism into them. And you go, oh, okay. And again, there's times where Brian does that.
Yeah. But the gist is there. I think the gist is there, which is don't place your faith to get this thing done in the money that you have, support that you have from a world perspective, like your walking stick, what have you.
Right.
The trust has to be in God to where it's going.
Right.
And he's saying, you're going to get where you go. There's nobody there to feed you. God's going to take care of you. It goes back to the birds in the air, and these and stuff, and how God takes care of that. You're worth a lot more.
That's
Right.
right. That's
to
right.
him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do want to talk just a little bit about from the traditional type of translations where it says, shake the dust from your feet as you leave, kind of thing. When I would read that, I kind of thought, well, that seemed like it was like, are you trying to do something to them or to the city? And as the lenses have been peeled off and perspective has been shifted from less of a sin-focused gospel and more love, I think it's more talking about what the disciples should do for themselves. That
Right.
if somebody has barred you, shake the dust off, kind of more in reference to don't hold it against them. get rid of any negative, content that you got about that. Kind of like, if anybody has gone to sales school or read a book about selling, and where it talks about you've got to get okay with hear and no, because sales are tracked by how many no's you have through before you get to a yes.
Yep.
So if you're not good at shaking off that no, then probably a sales job isn't good for you. But I think that was more what Jesus meant when he was saying that. And if you look at some of the translations, it kind of bears more of that like that. So if you switch over to that same over into the Passion, it says, if anyone listens to you and rejects your message, then you leave that house or town, shake the dust off your feet as a prophetic act that you will not take the defilement with you.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let their negative thoughts impact what you view the message from God is, what you view the gospel is. The gospel doesn't change whether somebody says no. The gospel is still great news to all.
Yes.
Whether they accept it or not is not your job. That's not where your pay is.
Yeah.
Same instance, the enemy's going to try and take someone's rejection of God and put that rejection to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's more what that's saying. I just wanted to clarify that just because, like I said, I know my personal perspective. When I first started reading Gospels, when I came across that, and I thought, are we really saying, are they doing something bad to the town, or what are they trying to do? I was a little confused about that. So it was just that I wanted to kind of clarify in how I see it now through the years of, taking the different lenses off and having Harold hit the sledgehammer and to a different perspective a little bit.